make a charitable contribution as well, because we are a standalone nonprofit organization. So wanted to share that with you. As always, I'd like to uh, share a couple announcements with you. We have our opening reception, or kickoff reception for the year, which will be on February 26th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That will take place at 899 North Capitol Street, Northeast, in Washington, D.C. It's free, but you do need to register for that meeting. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great industry meeting. There'll be fleet folks there. There'll be policymakers, elected officials, their staff, utilities, small business owners, community members. It's going to be great. And we just moved to our new office. So you'll get the chance to check us out. We're right down by Union Station, a 5-minute walk to Capitol Hill. In fact, I'm on Capitol Hill today. So make sure that you register for February 26th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now, there's still opportunities for you all to make, if anyone would like to be a sponsor for the event. If we can put my email in the chat, we still need to get about 2 or 3 more sponsors to cover all the food and refreshments for that event. Or if you'd like to just make a donation towards the event for some door prizes, we are still looking for door prizes, and we're still looking for about 2 or 3 more sponsors to cover the cost for the event as well. So it should be pretty good. We'll have my information in the chat as well, my email and phone number. The other thing I wanted to mention, there is a Green Truck Summit coming up on March 4th through the 6th. That's in Indianapolis, Indiana. So look forward to going to that event as well. So that's in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's the Green Truck Summit. Really great conference. If you've not been to that, you would enjoy it. Please put that on your schedule to get to Indianapolis, Indiana for the Green Truck Summit. There'll be a lot of clean city organizations there from all over the country as well. We are also going to have a Earth Day walk and run. You'll hear a lot more about this coming out, but you all heard it first. That's going to be Saturday, April 19th in Washington, D.C. We're going to have an Earth Day walk and run, and we'll also have a vehicle display as well. You'll be able to display some vehicles, have some information tables as well. So registration will open next week, within the next 2 weeks. And we anticipate that will go very, very fast. So make sure that you get ready to participate in our Earth Day walk and run and vehicle display as well. The other thing I want to mention, we're going to have our opening reception, and we're going to have we have one in DC on February 26th. Then we have one in Baltimore, Maryland on March 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be at M&T Bank in downtown Baltimore. So that one will have very limited registration. I think we can probably get like 65 to 75 people in that event. Probably a little more for standing room, but we'll know about that shortly. But that will be hosted at M&T Bank. So that'll be really nice. So stay tuned for that. Our second annual reception in Baltimore will be on March 25th as well. I want to just make just a couple other quick things. Registration is open now for our annual conference, which will take place October 23rd. Will be at Martin's Crosswinds in Greenbelt, Maryland. So I wanted to mention that to you all as well. I want to take a moment and also thank all the members and stakeholders that came out on Capitol Hill with us yesterday. We went to over 10 offices Yesterday, and we met, and I got to go one more today at 12 o'clock. But we did go, and I want to thank Cyrus, who was there. Cyrus, was that your first time going?
Absolutely, yes. It
And
was my
how was
first
that
time.
for you?
It was very eye-opening. I really loved the way that the coalition can make an impact. I didn't know that we could until we went.
Good. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and taking time away from your business to be there. But I wanted to share with the members, it's really important that we meet with the federal, state, and local leaders. Yesterday, we were on Capitol Hill, meeting with members of Congress and their staff. We did actually get a chance to see directly three members of the House. So that was really nice. So we bumped into Eleanor Holmes Norton, who's a congresswoman from um, DC. We got a chance to talk to and take a photo with Glenn Ivey, who is the Glenn is the congressman, one of the congressmen from state of Maryland. And then we also had a chance to speak with uh, Sarah Elrith, who is the new congresswoman from the state of Maryland yesterday. So, and then we talked to a number of staffers. So we actually got a chance to see three members face to face. And so that was amazing. It normally does not happen. So we hit gold yesterday. We got to see three of them. So that was fantastic and a lot of work because these things don't happen by themselves. So advocacy, especially in this environment, is really important. We have to, Plain Cities has been around 32 years. And so we want to thank you all. We will be going again next year as well. And then our office, we also comment on a lot of state and local bills as well. And so from time to time, we'll ask you if you can go to a meeting or jump on a call or support our efforts as we look at state and local bills. But yesterday we did go. I want to thank all the folks who went on. I did see Jim Dankowski did come on. Hey, Jim, how are you today? Good to see you. I know he's traveling. But I wanted him to know that one of his team members traveled with us much of yesterday, and we appreciate Kathy, I think her name is Miss Seymour, who traveled with us yesterday.
Yeah, she was excited to support the coalition, so I was glad she could fill in for me.
Yes,
So,
thank you. She did a great job, and we appreciate her taking time out of her schedule. She was juggling between a lot of things,
yeah,
but we appreciate her being able to do that. I'm going to
yeah.
jump right into the speakers now. Um, I did want to mention we do have a couple of funding announcements um, that will have uh, uh, Kim or Blake read that are coming down that you might want to look at. But I want to introduce our two speakers. One is Anna Marshall. She's a senior environmental planner with the Buffalo Metropolitan Council, uh, and where she leads the air quality conformity determination process for the region's short and long range transportation plans. Anna also researches and coordinates federal, state, and local environmental regulations, including policies related to electric vehicle infrastructure, greenhouse gas emissions, and climate change. Anna earned her master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers University as well. And she's been a certified planner since 2023. Stephanie Neeland with ICF. She's the director of CNI and residential programs at ICF with over 14 years of residential energy and commercial experience with 6 years of EV charger program support in Maryland. She supports Pepco's ICF program manager for their current Pepco Delmarva Power EV fleet program. So all the fleet leaders are going to talk about all the good incentives that Pepco currently has for fleets. So thank you. I see we have a number of fleet leaders on the call today. So without further ado, I want to thank both of them for being here. And we will have Anna go first. And Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. And yeah, looking forward to speaking with all of you. I have a few slides I was hoping could be awesome. Thanks, Kim. And it looks like there we go. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, so thank you again for having me. My name's Anna Marshall. I'm at Baltimore Metropolitan Council, and just a little background on BMC. We are a nonprofit agency located here in Baltimore, and we work on various tasks, including community engagement, environmental, community, I said community engagement. And then we also house the Baltimore Regional Transportation Board, which is the federally designated metropolitan planning organization, the MPO for the Baltimore region. And so as part of that process, we have projects, including this one that I'll be talking about today that we just completed in December of 2024. And it was electric vehicle community charging hubs for multi-family housing. And so a little background on the project. Well, EV adoption is on the rise in Maryland. 100% of new vehicles sold in Maryland will be zero emission by 2035. And this was from the Advanced Clean Cars 2 Act that was passed in 2023. And about 80% of all EV charging currently takes place at home at a private residence. And people who live in high density areas or apartment buildings or multifamily housing might not have access to chargers at home, or need to charge at work, or need public access to chargers. Next slide, please. So this chart's just showing some types of parking available to multifamily residents. So if there's parking on site, they can either park in communal parking or assigned parking. But if there is no parking on site, they have to look for public parking, either a curbside or in a dedicated charging hub or a public garage or lot. Next slide, please. So this project we were working on was to develop a plan to provide EV charging opportunities for residents in high-density residential areas across the Baltimore region. The plan includes recommendations on how to implement EV chargers in high-density residential areas, fact sheets to share with elected officials, colleagues, and community members about EV charging, and also potential locations for community charging hubs. Next slide, please. So community charging hubs are designated locations near high-density employment centers or multifamily housing where community members can reliably charge their EVs and also access additional transportation options like rideshare, transit, micromobility while their vehicles charge. Some key characteristics included are the reliable charging infrastructure, making sure wait times are reasonable and that there's working chargers, convenient location to multifamily housing, employment centers, or other destinations such as shopping centers, connections to transit or other transportation services, inclusive in public space with integrated wayfinding, travel information and payment options, on-site services such as restrooms or convenience stores, so people have a place to go while their car is charging, and then also having it be fairly distributed throughout communities. Just some examples that were pulled together as part of this project. There's a EV Go charging station in California. This charging station in Orlando, Florida. You can see that there is a train in the background there. So that's an example of a charging hub at a train station. And right here in Baltimore, there's the St. Francis EV charging station. And then in Connecticut, at Connecticut Post Mall in Milford, Connecticut, there is a charging hub. Some guidance that's available that was used to help develop this project was from the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation about community charging, emerging practices for curbside, multifamily, and multimodal access, public electric vehicle charging infrastructure guidelines, and Fuels Institute EVC, the installing and operating public electric vehicle charging infrastructure. And in the planning guide, which is available on the BMC website, there's clickable links to all of this guidance, and it is accessible to view if you're interested. We also looked at existing planning documents from other cities and regions and states, and this helped provide examples of how to cite and leverage partnerships to implement community charging hubs. So for example, we have Seattle DOT, LA DOT, and the Bay Area Metropolitan Transportation Commission. Some outcomes of this project. So we had 5 fact sheets, which can be shared with elected officials, colleagues, and community members. There's the overall planning guide with recommendations on how to implement EV chargers. And there's also case studies that highlight potential locations for community charging hubs. The fact sheet topics, there's 5 of them. There's electric vehicles 101, community charging hubs, preparing for the next grant cycle, workforce development opportunities, and statewide incentives. You can use the fact sheets to engage with community members, colleagues, and elected officials. You can discuss the types of EV chargers and locations the types can be used most effectively. Direct your colleagues to best practices for planning, siting, and designing hubs. You can use them to identify EV funding opportunities and also learn more about EV-related jobs and share strategies for workforce development. In the planning guidebook, we have an executive summary, an overview of community charging hubs, a planning toolbox, which I'll explain a little bit more on the next slide, and next steps, and then appendices with case studies, budgeting and funding and procurement options. The planning toolbox is just a space where everything is together, and it has guidance about how to engage stakeholders. How to select a location for a community charging hub, how to design the hub, and then operation and maintenance guidance, as well as workforce development. And this is just some case study examples that are in our planning guide where they've been used. So we also looked abroad in Germany and the Netherlands, Norway, the UK, and as well as more local examples. And then the Gumbo Initiative is in New Orleans, and it is kind of an example of a workforce development opportunity that can be used here in Baltimore as well. And if you have any questions or additional comments, you can always contact me by email. And this QR code here will bring you directly to the place on our website where the fact sheets are available. And the planning guide, it should be up there. It's not currently up there, but should be up there soon. So yeah, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Stephanie. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I think we have some slides as well. While those are popping up, thanks for having me, Stephanie Nealand. I'm with ICF. I'm stepping in on behalf of Lori Van Hoy, who's my counterpart over at Pepco Holdings, leading our Pepco EV Smart Commercial Fleet Assessment Program. We also have a parallel program available for Delmarva Power, and BGE also has a parallel program available in their territory as well. So dependent on where your fleets are located, we do have opportunities throughout the state at the moment. So jumping in as those are setting up, I'll just go ahead and dive in. So overall, the goal of the Pepco EV Smart Commercial Fleet Assessment Program is to offer fleet owners comprehensive and objective guidance to support your transition to electric vehicles. We've designed the program to be a fully customized analysis, aiming to help fleet owners to evaluate your current operations, determine the best opportunities for EV alternatives, and to access financial or assess the financial and environmental impacts of electrification for your fleet in general. The EV Smart Fleet Program, just a little bit of history. So the PSE order was issued in September of 2022. The program's launched in Q3 of 2023, just about a year after we had been, or we are open to kind of that look back towards 2022 if any initiatives had already started at that point in time, but we did officially launch in 23. We do have the program available through September, the end of September 2025. So it's a little bit of a short span for this year, but glad to be engaging with you this morning. Pepco specifically has a goal of 35 fleet assessments, and then as we'll get into the details here, but 70 make-ready incentives, and then 70 equipment and installation rebates as well. And ultimately that 1-to-2 ratio falls into our eligibility of 2 sites per entity, which could correlate with those initial fleet assessments happening, but don't necessarily have to. So I'll get into that a little bit here. We do also have a goal of 25% of those incentives and rebates being assessed towards disadvantaged community areas. So overall, the program offers expert guidance in the space, right? You may not know where to start, where to navigate, and that's where we hopefully come in. So with the program, our team of experienced EV advisors will help fleet managers plan your EV transition, access the financial incentives. So if you don't know where to start, we have, kind of that going list plus the program incentives specifically, and to navigate those key logistics, including, charging infrastructure, what's going to work, and the operating training. Next page, next slide. Starting with the EV fleet assessment specifically. So as I mentioned, the program offers a current company the fleet assessment, including summarizing those vehicle alternatives, the financial and economic analysis. We do have 27 remaining assessments available now through September 2025. So we've gotten a few under our belt, but there is still some on the table. The assessment overall is a $25,000 value. All of the time and energy that goes into developing all of the models, et cetera. But there is only a $2,500 upfront fee required. And that fee, a deposit, so to speak, is refunded if the fleet moves forward with any electrification efforts within 12 months of that initial assessment report being finalized and sent to you. And that forward movement is defined as either purchasing one or more electric vehicles. So if you're starting with a whole fuel fleet, electrifying even one of those vehicles would count as forward movement. The second and third opportunities are moving through the incentive and rebate programs that the utility has to offer. So moving through make ready rebates if you just want to get your site ready for those chargers moving forward, or if you're ready to take the full step forward and install the actual equipment. Either any of those three opportunities would consider you as moving forward to receive that deposit back. In terms of eligibility, Pepco is limited to commercial customers, obviously in this fleet effort. I'm almost positive that all of the rate schedules are listed here, but it's essentially any commercial customer. Delmarva has a slightly different rate schedule set up, but those would be included as well. But a fleet must have, in order to qualify as a fleet, must have a minimum of 5 vehicles considered for electrification. So like I said, they can be full fuel fleets to start, but have to have a minimum of 5 vehicles. Throughout the process and kind of the end of the process, a fleet owner will receive a customized report detailing all of those vehicle by vehicle recommendations, the total cost of ownership comparisons, environmental impact assessments. You can see a snapshot of that report sample, the executive summary on the right-hand side here. And then the next slide will zoom into that little roadmap at the bottom, which will take us into kind of the flow of what to expect for the assessment process itself. Next slide. So end to end, the full assessment roadmap and timeline is generally about 2 to 4 months from the time we engage with you and hold an initial scoping discussion, which really is geared towards understanding what you are looking to get out of your assessment effort, understanding the current status of your fleet, and starting to look through all of the expectation documentation for the program to participate, as well as starting to just think through what data do you have available that we will need to complete those assessments. So within that, and kind of steps 1 through 3 here are kind of in parallel with each other. After that initial inquiry, we'll introduce that scoping call, set the expectations, understand, are there any other key members of your organization that should be in on these conversations as we start them? And then we will ask for a signed expectations agreement, really just outlining what our responsibilities are and the limited time commitment that a fleet manager will also have in helping us collate all of that data, provide it so that we can move through our analysis, as well as be available for any follow-up questions, reviews, et cetera. It's really a collaborative process as we move to the end of this assessment effort. From there, we'll review all of the data, and then the fleet owners and any stakeholders will participate in an initial intake call. This step involves reviewing all of the data provided, addressing any gaps, and identifying the appropriate assumptions we can use to ensure that we're still creating an accurate report. It is a collaborative process, like I mentioned, so we'll work closely with the fleet team to make sure that we're capturing any operational insights that may be nuanced towards each individual fleet owner, and hopefully, continuing that thought process of what else should we be considering as we move forward. After that initial intake call, we request a sign-off saying, yep, this looks good to go. Let's move forward with the final assessment effort. And then once we will develop all of the final report detail, including that full summary report and kind of snapshot that you saw on the last slide, and a PowerPoint that goes along with walking through, this is what we found and here are the key findings there. We'll send that initial draft out to you so that you can review it. We'll have that collaborative call, provide some time for feedback, and then once everything is signed off, we'll send out a final report and all of the final information. And this road, so to speak, a good visual here, the road continues past the assessment effort. So the road will continue with the full fleet electrification effort, as well as taking advantage of any of the incentives and rebates. So we can jump to the next slide. So if we are moving linearly through the process, the next step would be to, identify, okay, these are the sites that we want to move forward with. We do have two incentive opportunities available. The first is incentives available for make-ready costs associated with upgrading the electrical infrastructure for those EV charging stations. The current incentives available there are 90% of the cost, up to $15,000 for standard fleet customers, and an additional 10%, so 100% of the cost, up to $15,000 for businesses serving disadvantaged communities. If you're ready to move past that stage and also install the equipment, we do have equipment and installation rebates, which complement the make-ready incentives if your fleet is ready to start installing those eligible equipments. We do offer a 50% rebate up to $5,000 per port for level 2 charging. And so that is per port. So if you have a dual port charger, it would be, each port could be eligible for that 50% up to $5,000 rebate. DC fast charging, we also offer the 50% rebate, but up to $15,000 per port. Similar to the make ready efforts, we do have an additional 10% added for any so it would jump up to 60% per port covered for businesses servicing disadvantaged communities. In total, there is a $30,000 max incentive per property site location, and each entity, each fleet is eligible for up to 2 sites. So if you have, slightly different location areas, but it's still, your fleet is operating within and across those multiple sites, you could be eligible to install for the make ready and installation incentives at 2 of those sites. So that's kind of where that 1-to-2 ratio came in terms of our goal structure that we talked about earlier. On the right-hand side of the screen here, just a quick snapshot of essentially everything up until the charger itself is considered make-ready. So all of those efforts that you would need to take prior to actually putting that charger in the ground would qualify under that make-ready cost incentive opportunity. The bottom right snapshot there is how we have identified disadvantaged communities being defined with areas within the MDE final EJ score percentile of over 75%. That tool, just a caveat, has been taken offline temporarily. They're working to get a different version online, but the methodology will remain to identify any areas that we can increase those incentive opportunities. And just a last note, so our contact information is here. As I mentioned, Stephanie Nealon, I'm the program manager on the ICF side. Kenny Keller is providing support on my end, as well as Brandon Schneider is our fleet assessment lead. And Chris Coker is, I believe I saw him on the line. He is our fleet outreach lead. So feel free to connect with any of us directly and we can get you into the right spot. Just wanted to one last note in terms of kind of the linearity of the program opportunity. So if you have, you may not need the fleet assessment for some reason or another. Maybe you've already taken that initiative up front in your own space without the utility opportunities. You do not have to move through the entire program linearly. So you don't have to start at the fleet assessment. The incentives for make ready and the equipment and installation are open to any fleets who do have a minimum of 5 EVs already registered. So if you've already taken that first step, you may already be able to jump ahead to the incentive portion of the program. So just wanted to note that there are a few different pathways available.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna have Kim will manage the question and answer part, but before I turn it over to Kim, Stephanie, how do people sign up for that program? We were just meeting a couple days ago with a small business owner. He has 20 EVs for his 5 different Domino's locations. And how would somebody like that, for example, be able to tap into that? He's a smaller fleet, 5 different locations. How would we tell him to tap into that program?
Yeah, so best pathway forward to start, if you go to the PepGo sites, there you can go to the application portal directly. But I think the easiest pathway is honestly to connect with one of us. So either sending directly to me or Chris, we can get them in the right spot to get started. We also have our general mailbox on the PepGo side. It is, let me just double check, make sure I'm not saying this incorrectly. PepGo fleet at icf.com will get you to our main team as well.
And then one last thing, if people are charging companies, can they contact you on behalf of their client to see what type of assistance you can provide for them as well?
Absolutely happy to connect all those dots.
All right. Okay, Kim, I'm gonna turn it back over to Kim and everyone, if you've not registered, please register for the opening kickoff reception. It's going to be amazing. And again, if you'd like to help be a sponsor, if you have some giveaways for our swag bags for everyone that's going to be attending, just send Kim or I an email and we'll make sure we get your stuff on the table. All right. Thank
Thank you,
you,
Antoine.
Kim.
Antoine, I had a
Thank,
question.
yes.
So can we learn more about some of the projects that have been awarded from this program within Pepco, within Greater Washington? I would love to learn about the Domino's projects in high level of detail. Given there's 6 locations that have been awarded, that seems more than any other equitable amount to one party. So that's why I would really love to learn more about that one. And then really any other projects, that have been awarded besides Domino's.
Yeah, well, what I will do at our next meeting, we'll spend some time on some of a number of the projects that have been awarded. Now, one thing we are wrestling with is because some of the federally funded projects are all over the place that have been funded. Some have been frozen, many are still moving on. So by that time, we'll have a better sense of what we can say is still moving forward to what has been frozen, et cetera. Okay. All right, Kim, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you all so much for bearing with me. One moment. Okay. I want to say thank you to Stephanie and also to Anna for being a part of our clean energy and transportation industry meeting. I did place a question, a statement in the chat, and I'm specifically asking for those that have questions to include that within the chat. Also, there was a question, Will Velada asked if we would be sharing the slide decks, and that I would need to get permission from the presenters on that. I can also say that we are streaming as well. So if that is the case, then we can certainly share. If we have permission to share your slides, we're happy to do that.
Sure, yeah, you can share my slides.
Okay, all right. Somebody just put a question in and it slid down. All right, so there is a question in the chat, and it's for Stephanie. Does Pepco do installations themselves, or do fleet owners source support for installation to later receive their Pepco rebate?
Yep, great question, Darnell. So for this program in particular, I know Pepco did have a program where they were doing the installation themselves. For the fleet program, the fleet owners will source their own support for installation directly, and our team will help kind of open up the doors for some of those conversations.
All right, and that was from Darnell Schaefer or Schaffer. Okay. Quentin Washington also gave an accolade. He said, very informative session today. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you to Anna and Stephanie, of course. Are there any other questions before I share the funding opportunities? Any other questions for Anna or Stephanie? Going once, going twice. Darnell, you have another question?
Yeah, I figure I'll just speak it. It's a little more efficient. Just a follow-up for Steph. How would an installer best engage with Pepco or ICF? Is there like a pre-registration portal or something to that magnitude where we have to pre-qualify to do those services?
No, not at the installer level. So certainly get in touch with our team so we can kind of keep track of who's interested and who's in the space. It's definitely something that we can help pass along to any interested entities as they move through the process if they're having trouble getting into connection. As a program and as a utility, we are agnostic to the equipment, to vendors, et cetera, throughout the process, but we are able to kind of help in that area where customers may need it as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Right. So if there aren't any other questions, I am going to go right into just making some announcements. All right. Thank you again, Anna. I'm going to remove you from the spotlights here. All right. If you could bear with me for 1 second, I'm going to pull up the document so I can share the funding opportunities. So that I'm going to read this. All right, so a couple things. There's an enhanced grid reliability and advanced energy technologies opportunity. This is the Department of Energy's ARPA-E. They're offering up to $300 million in funding through the Gradients program to improve grid reliability and integrate renewable energy systems. This funding supports technologies in flexible renewable generation, intelligent automatic relays, and real-time control co-design RT-CCD. The deadline for the application is tomorrow. So you can submit your proposals via ARPA-E exchange. There's also another one, the United States Department of Energy's Advanced Research Projects Agency. They're announcing Persephone program. It's a new funding opportunity aimed at developing transformative technologies for bioenergy crop genetic engineering. With a total of $15 million in funding, ARPA-E will award up to 7 projects with awards ranging from $250,000 to $4 million. This program will support the development of advanced tools for engineering bioenergy crops, creating new genetic engineering technologies, and ensuring adoption through biocontainment strategies. The deadline for that application is March 4th, and for eligibility information, I can also provide the link. So we can provide this information to you all. If you're interested, I've put my email address in and you can reach out to me and I'll be happy to share that. And the last opportunity that we have listed here is DOE awards over $12 million for local clean energy projects. So this is the U.S. Department of Energy again. They awarded $12.62 million to 35 local, state, and tribal governments under the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant. So I can provide you more information about that as well.
That was the DOE, so that was federal? Or was that
Yes.
DOEE?
DOE.
Okay.
That's what I have.
Okay. Thanks.
So I do have that information. And I will put I'm reading that, so I'm going to come back to you all. I will put my email in the chat. So if you'd like for me to send that information to you, specific information to you, I'm happy to do that. All right. Are there any other questions? Comments? We are also streaming as well. So if it's something that you need to refer back to relatively quickly, that information will be available on our social media platforms, which are YouTube. And I believe it's also on Facebook as well. So hopefully.
And Kimberly, you're with Greater Washington Regional Clean Cities Coalition?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. What is your role there as well?
So my
I've
role.
met KJ and I met Antoine, of course.
So I'm in charge of the Baltimore office here.
Oh, great.
And also the association manager. So my role is I'm spread pretty thin.
That's okay.
But,
Yeah, I mean, I know the Baltimore office is new. I I'm located not far from you in York County, PA. So
Okay.
yeah, we should definitely meet.
So I put my email in the chat, so please, by
All
all
right.
means. All
Thank
right.
you so much.
All right. If there are no further questions or any other comments, I am going to give you your 13 minutes back.
I do have a comment. This is Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, I think it's important that anybody on the call, I just want to make sure you're aware of, the General Assembly, Maryland General Assembly streams live. And if you're in EV, there's so many electric vehicle bills that are going up for the General Assembly. And people are not going for or against these bills. You can sign up for a bill to speak for or against it. You go to the Maryland website for the General Assembly, and you can search by electric vehicle, and you can see the House member, or is it a Senate bill? But then just to research the bill, but even see where the hearing is, get an idea who's for it or against it. And if you live in Maryland, it's doing your due diligence to know your senator and delegate to make sure they vote for these EV bills. Because it's up to us, as we know, with the changes in the last, 3 months, that we need to promote this. And Maryland is a pro-EV state. We need to lead by example. And the more people that get on these calls, listen to the General Assembly, and basically thank them, the ones that promote EV. So I can send you more information to help you get more involved. If you'd like to get involved in the General Assembly, happy to do that as well.
All right. Thank you, Melanie. All right. Melanie, if you could send that to me, and I'm happy to kind of be the liaison to kind of forward that information to everyone that's on the call. I'm
Sure.
happy to do that.
Kimberly, I'd also like to introduce you to one of my marketing team members. She works with a lot of the coalitions as well, just understanding the events you're doing and supporting any work in that way to make sure our team's there. But yeah, thank you for introducing yourself. It's nice to meet you as well. Thanks.
All righty. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a wonderful day and have a great weekend. Take care.
Thank you.